for the recording.
Sure. I'm Ivan de la Lanza. I'm from WRI Mexico office. Yeah, that's it.
Good. So, if you look back at this week, what was your best takeaway or your major takeaway?
Well, it was super interesting for me because I literally have been working with bicycle mobility projects since between 15 to 20 years ago, from a government perspective. So I have always looked at the guides, international guidelines. So I have always seen like pictures of Copenhagen, and I have never come. So it was literally like living a dream.
Yeah.
So, and actually I was quite like, I didn't know what to expect, because sometimes when you have so much expectations, that could be difficult. So I tried, before I come in here, I tried to say like, just go ahead, like whenever you go to a new place, it's like no expectations, no anything. But it was so hard for me to do that because of these international guidelines. Anyway, I came here, and really my impression is I'm having so much fun, and it is so impressive. It's so much more than I was expecting, actually. So way much more, because it's not only about bicycles. It's not only a bicycle mobility strategy. It's not only that. It's a way of life. It's public policy. It's a sense of community. It's political decisions. It's equity. It's a lot of things that it impresses me so much, the way that you guys live here. It's so impressive. It's literally, I have never seen this in any part. And at the same time, I reflect this to my own country, and especially to Latin America. I just love Latin America. I don't want to move from Latin America. And I guess we have almost the same. We have also a really strong sense of community. But I think that we have been losing it a little bit, and I get a lot of ideas to retake it, especially the ones that involve public space, activities, community. This place where we are, the central of community spaces. So I take these kind of ideas not only around bicycling, of course bicycling, but I have to say, to be honest, most of the bicycling thing I already knew it because of the international guidelines. I mean, it's surprisingly working so good. So, but I get the whole picture. Not only that one.
Which is what you didn't see in the guidelines.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry, you returned it.
The question I wanted to ask was more on how do you think you can take what you've learned and then apply it to your own city or your own reality in that way, and not necessarily just as in I'll go and I build a bike lane or whatever.
Really, my thinking is like Copenhagen and Denmark. I didn't know that, but they are going in a real different, sustainable direction that the rest of the world is going. Of course, the situations and the context is completely different, especially because of the number of inhabitants is really not comparable to the rest of the situations. But at the same time, what I'm thinking is we should be pushing faster to do this. Of course, as we were saying, the realities in our context is people can be like really thinking on public spaces when they don't have water, when they don't have sanitation, when they don't have health, when they don't have other issues that we need to solve as well. But actually my biggest idea is like, we cannot wait to build a really good public space because we don't have these other things, We need to push for that because that would be easier, and that will create community as well. And we need first to create community in order to get social participation, another kind of democracy, another political process. If we don't see each other, if we don't have cohesion, then we are not talking, and then we are not going to build the country. And that's one of my biggest concerns in Mexico, especially I want to be specific in Mexico. I always said, like, how can we take the decisions on who is going to be the president when we don't even care about the sidewalk or the street or something. I mean, that's the minimum level of decision, you know, taking care of your own space, but in the public space. If we don't take care of this, how we can take care of the biggest things? You know? So that's I get specific ideas a lot, but in the general sense, I take that.
Do you think it's useful to see places like Copenhagen where, I mean, definitely not perfect, I I know that, but closer? Do you think it's transferable in any way? If you, the same way you look at the sign guidelines, then you look at how it's done here. I personally don't believe in a copy-paste approach at all, absolutely not. But what do you think is the difference in how it would be implemented in Mexico, for example, if you were to do?
I mean, we already did. That's literally the history. Like more than 10 years ago, some of the people from Mexico City came here. And then developed the bicycle mobility strategy based on the Danish standards for cycling infrastructure, and it was designed as well with the National Autonomous University in Mexico from the architectural department and GEL architects as well. And then we started to, and then I joined the team like many other people, and we started to develop the actions. And the bicycle mobility strategy was based on cycling infrastructure and equipment, bike sharing, and cultural and educational programs. So we did the open street programs, the bike sharing system, and bicycle infrastructure network, but with the criteria, the Danish criteria. 7 years later, when you also analyze the area for that, it was 3 main districts, that the total area of implementation is around 42 square kilometers, with a population that more than 2 million people. Only the inhabitants, plus the visitors every day. So when you analyze this is almost the size of the city of Copenhagen. When you see the results, because also we do annual accounts for cycling and everything, you can see an increase in 7 years that 500% of the number of cyclists in this area.
That's impressive.
That's a lot. And
but
you
that's
can
also
feel
the proof that it works, right?
And you can feel it, of course. And once again, there was a big political will behind this. Really bold leadership. A staff-trained team who really know how to do the things. So a piloting project. So eventually we have seen that this is working, and we are trying to reply it as well as a maturity framework for cycling, and not only for cycling but especially for active mobility. So walking and cycling together in Latin American cities.
Amazing. It's always good to hear when it works. And when it's not just being pushed to the side as if this will never happen, it won't work here. I think that's very good.
And I think there's plenty of examples in Latin America, especially Colombia, Chile, Brazil. I mean, when you analyze the context of the Global South, you can see that actually active mobility is the only way to mobilize people, because the poor countries make it the only way to do that. So actually what I'm saying is active mobility in the Global South context is not only important because of transport, it's super important because it provides access to development to the city for the poorest one. So I think really that this is the key to develop a city, because it's less expensive, you can develop really fast. So by the way that the cities are increasing their population and their use of resources, active mobility is more the solution. It's the equal solution. It's cheap, it's good, it's efficient, it's health, it's economics. So I really, every time I try to do this with the decision makers, of course it needs a lot of political will. But it's going well.
That's good. That's also why it's so important to talk the language, like the political language, right? Like, this is what creates the equity. If you want it, this is what we're doing.
That's right. But the mind changing is going faster, which is really good. I mean, I think we don't have to wait 10 years more.
No.
So eventually the social media is helping to communicate faster. So I really think that the new generation is coming really fast, and we can do this kind of mindsets changing really, really fast, and then we can redirect the inversions and or everything in government can move faster as well. Hopefully. Yeah.
No, this was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.